another same share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spread the peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And how do we stand in love's pure might? Watching the world in love.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. It's so nice to have so many people here already. We have quite a few people here from X. Amazing, 200 people. That's so amazing. We'd like to encourage you to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining in. I see also we have Stella here. Typically on tonight, we have Calvin Johnson, the criminal defense attorney, on, but we're going to reschedule that till later in the week. Tonight we're going to talk about a subject that's pressing everybody pretty much throughout the world. What's happening in regards to Nancy Guthrie? Yes, indeed. We're so concerned trying to figure out what's happening with that case. So we're going to go live to try to understand, try to figure out what's happening. Today also we're going to talk about Epstein case. Did you guys know that the Southern District of New York actually put out that Epstein had passed away a day earlier than which he died? Why do you guys think that's the case? I actually have the documentation, which I'm going to share with you as well. I also shared it earlier with the member section, but it actually says that Epstein died a day earlier than what he actually did. Epstein died on August the 10th, 2019, according to record. But the documentation that I shared today showed that Epstein, according to the Southern District, it said that he passed away on the 9th. Why would the government say he died on the 9th? But to the public, we have documentation, we have videos showing that he actually passed away on the 10th. What is really happening? All of these things we're going to get to today. There's some boots on the ground in regards to what's happening out in Arizona when it comes to Nancy Guthrie. So we're going to take a look at it to see if we can get an idea of what's happening. Do you guys really think that this is about a kidnapping only? Or do you guys think that it's separate from her going missing? In other words, do you think that perhaps a family member or someone else actually took her? But then it was 72 hours before the kidnappers actually reached out to the authorities. So my question is, do you think that was just someone that said, hey, this woman is missing? I mean, think about it. They had 2.5, 3 days to put this together, put together a letter. Nowadays, you could pretty much put together an amazing letter with AI. Most of us know how that works, right? And actually, once you come up with your own ideas and you turn it over to AI, well, we know what AI will do, especially with ChatGPT. It will definitely take that thought or thoughts of yours and turn it into something so amazing. And at that point, it's hard to decipher who's really writing these type of things. So today I want to get to it. We're going to find out what you guys think. Do you think when it comes to Nancy Guthrie that we have separate issues? We have someone that perhaps took her away from her home and also took her life, or has still have her for some motive. Okay, we do know that when it comes to Savannah Guthrie, here's a couple things that I researched I want to share with you guys. 3 months ago, she did a grand tour in Tucson, Arizona, where she says, and if you go back and you look at the video, she says, I'm Savannah Guthrie, and I'm on the Today Show, as she would walk about town. Was that a moment that sparked interest in her? Because during the video, which I will get to, she actually says in the video many times she's talking about her mother living locally. Do you think that sparked something for a person to create this type of scenario? Or did you guys know that Savannah Guthrie, she actually interviewed Donald Trump and she really went in on Donald Trump, asking him those hard questions. We're going to have a breakdown this week. I'm going to show you how she had a very contentious interview with Donald Trump. Or let's look at it from another angle. Savannah Guthrie was the first person that really interviewed the Epstein victims, right? Virginia Dufresne and several other girls. Could this perhaps have sparked something that's going on here? So we want to try to break this down to try to see what you guys think. Do you think that this is just about her and maybe someone took her away from her home? And then here comes the perhaps someone in another country or throughout that decided to take advantage of a situation and focus in on the family to turn this into a way. I guess now the media is saying that they were asking for $6 million. $6 million. As you probably have been following this case, you know that as of last night, the children came forward and say, hey, listen, we're willing to pay it. Or do you think that these are just two separate matters? Let's get to it to see what you guys are saying. I'm going to take a few of the comments before we really get into it. We're also going to go live and look at some live footage of what's happening right now, boots on the ground. We know the detectives have been back to the crime. Well, we call it the crime scene, yes, because that's where she went missing. But also from the other daughter's house. Last night, the detectives were there late at night. They were flashing camera lights, perhaps taking pictures of evidence. They said they actually left, and when they left, they took along with them some brown paper bags, some folders. What is really going on? Well, let's get to all of that, but I want to first see who we have in the audience here. Okay, we have Stella in the building. First in the building tonight. So amazing. Okay, OG Kicks, thank you for being here. Great supporter of the channel as well. All right, let's see what people have to say in regards to, first of all, put a 1 in the chat if you've been really following this case. Put a 1 in the chat if you've been following this explosive case. Probably we haven't seen one like this that's tied to a celebrity within recent time. But put a 1 in the chat if you're really interested and you're following this missing persons report with Nancy Guthrie. Okay, Philip says, I hope she's found alive and safe. Blessings from Australia. Nice to have you here. What is the temperature like out there in Australia, Philip? Nice to have you on. Andy says he's calling ICE. Okay, you're calling ICE. Okay, he wants ICE to come and take away anybody that's an illegal immigrant. Okay, we're going to get to some of that tonight too. Frog Physics says, all right, here, nice to have you here in the building as well. We also have Uncommon Woman says, peace and blessings, everybody. Okay, so if you follow this case in regards to the missing persons, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 if you just haven't been following it or it just hasn't piqued your interest. At any rate, okay, it's 26 degrees in Australia. Thank you very much for that inside information, Wendy Pearl. So we have several people here from Australia. Wendy says she's been following this. Name Withheld has been following this case. I think a lot of people, most people have eyes on the case. Well, let's get to some of the footage of what's really happening there without any further hesitation. Let's cover some of this, what's happening.
Are you going to be signing off at a certain time, or are you going to?
Guys, as you come in, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We're just looking at some live feed to see what's happening, boots on the ground.
I'm gonna stay out here for a minute and see.
Give me, before you do, give me about 20 minutes so I can go home and switch the stream off of
Yeah.
yours, and then
Sure.
So for those of you who are just coming in, we're covering the situation that's happening with Nancy Guthrie out in Arizona. As you know, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about this in some form, that she has gone missing, and we've really reached a week now. We're at the point of 7 days to where actually tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. we will face the big deadline where I guess her life would be in jeopardy. But we're just going to check out this live feed to see what's happening and also go over any updates in regards to the case. As you come in, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. The show that we typically have this week, we're going to have it later because I know everybody's involved with the Super Bowl. I get that tonight is probably an exciting night for those who are following the game. AI Starseed says all these missing American children must not be important to legacy media overall agenda. I've heard people say that. They say this case is getting covered because the daughter probably is a celebrity, but every day so many people go missing, especially here in the United States and throughout the world. Human trafficking is a big deal. And I just heard today that every 3 hours in Africa, a young child goes missing, usually a female. How sad of a thing that is. Stella says double tap the screen and press the thumbs up at the top of the screen, like the show. Thank you very much. We're going to cover this. Let's see what's happening. This is live feed from out in Arizona. Okay, we have somebody here from South Africa as well saying definitely this happens as well, perhaps.
Thank you.
Okay, Upgrade. Let's see what Upgrade has to say. It says, we know that the media is propaganda. If your views line up with the mainstream media, The Daily Show, late night television, Hollywood, and The View, you're not a rebel that you think you are. Okay, all right. Baby Bubba is saying the blood clot. I guess that's some sort of foul language. I know at least in the islands. Okay, but thank you for your participation as well. We're just going to cover a little bit in regards to Nancy Guthrie with the boots on the ground as far as the live feed or what's happening right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe as we pull up any new updates.
Fox 11 here in Tucson. They closed the station.
They closed the state. What did you do?
Well, a little of everything. I did the front desk. I was the admin assistant for the station manager. I worked the cameras up for the weekend news shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then they
Miss
kicked them out.
the Fox days?
I do.
You do?
We were like
How
a
long ago was
family. Oh my gosh, 2011.
2011.
Yeah, and then my spine went. Are you recording?
No, I'm filming. Well, I'm filming this way. I'm
Yeah.
live streaming.
No, you're not.
Yeah, because your face is not on camera.
No, but my story is.
Your story is. Yeah.
Okay, so this is live streaming from Arizona, right at the house of Nancy Guthrie, who is now missing for 7 days, and everybody's trying to figure out what really happened to her. Her children have been pleading for whoever took her to bring her back home.
What's your name?
Jonathan. JLR.
JLR.
Yeah.
I'll have to
See,
check
look
you
at
out. Oh, yeah.
See the hat?
Are you a follower of the
Wear the same hat.
857
I don't go
Tucson?
I don't know what that is.
That's the local channel.
857?
Mhm.
I don't know. I've never checked that out. Are you
If you're
local?
Yeah, I'm local.
You are? I'll have to check that out.
A fair bit of coverage here in Australia. Savannah was born in Melbourne, Australia. Yes. True. This is from Australia.
We're going a little far here.
Be safe, man.
You too. Take care.
Have a great day.
Okay, so the breaking news is that detectives have just arrived back at Nancy Guthrie's house again. I don't know if this is the fourth or fifth time, but it leads to some sort of inside play, foul play in regards to this case as well. Let's see here. Stella says like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to be notified of upcoming shows. Okay, thank you very much for that. Again, we're live streaming in regards to Nancy Guthrie. Our typical show tonight, we won't have We'll have it later in the week because most people are enjoying the Super Bowl. All right. Peruvian says, what are we watching? We're watching the live stream in association with Nancy Guthrie from her home. This is the media right outside the house covering her missing persons report.
Wow. Thank you, Wow. Thank you. My shade is going away. But I got the umbrella.
In regards to 2026, no, they have not found her yet. So right now we're just checking out the live stream. We're going to actually switch up and look at some of the latest reports in regards to her in a few minutes. But let's just see what's happening, boots on the ground.
Says keeping the peace. Thank you. Thank you, Wow. Thank you. Keeping the peace since 1865. We're keeping the peace. Thank you, Ann W. My common 2 cents says use the scanner app or website. It won't let me send link on here. Not sure if it can list the scanner name I'm using. New member. Thank you. Thank you. 857 has the scanner on right now. He's listening to it. So if anything pops off, we'll know. You know, there's probably a lot of calls and probably a lot of things that are going on unrelated. But we want to know where the next.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Alex.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I was a sole searcher here on Thursday, man.
Were you?
No one's ever even searched. So
No one searched.
there's a gully behind the house.
Behind the house.
I'm over there searching, taking pictures and shit. I didn't see anything disturbed, but it says something.
So you live here?
In Tucson. Yeah,
You just came out to help?
Yes, came out to search Thursday. I was the only one here.
You want to
Looked
talk on camera? You want
Yeah,
to share your
yeah.
story? All right, Alex. All right, let's spin the camera around. We got an interview
around.
with
Oh,
us.
we're going front. That way you don't
All right.
miss
Yeah. Go ahead, Alex. All
A
right.
couple people know me on
All right, so we got Alex.
Criminal
Alex,
Network.
what's going on, Alex? So, Alex, you told me you were out here searching for the very first time.
Yeah, I came Thursday. Asked some of the news vehicles because there was no cops here that day. I'm like, is there any search party? And they're like, nothing we know of. So I just went walking, and behind the house right there, there's a big gully. And you get like almost up close to the houses, you know what I mean? So honestly, it was undisturbed. I don't think she went out that way. She had to come out this way. And
Why?
then
What's back there?
It's a gully. So in other words,
But like the terrain is all
rock. You wouldn't have taken an 84-year-old that way.
No.
No, if you would, like, I'll even show you the picture. But it's just too rough back there. There's even like the sharp trees hitting you all the time out there. But so anyway, so she had to come out to the front, and then so that same day I go walking down this way and that way. Every one of these houses have multiple cameras.
They do.
Hers is like the cheapest house. Not to make fun of her
Yeah.
house, but it's the cheapest house out of all. They're all expensive ass houses. Around.
So this is the cheapest house out.
All expensive ass houses. Around.
So this is the cheapest house out of all.
Not all of them. They're all beautiful.
Okay.
And they all have bunkers. So I don't know if maybe they were looking inside the house or something. Of course, I'm just a speculator.
But what brought you up here? Like,
I'm a sleuth.
you're sleuth.
Yeah.
So
And
what day did you come here?
Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, and then I was watching the messages, and they were like, JLR's repeating shit. So I came out here to just hang out with you, Dan.
Yeah.
Messages, and they were like, JLR's repeating shit. So I came out here to just hang out with you, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I followed you with the Delphi case.
Delphi.
We might have a little different of opinions, but
Okay.
we
Yeah.
can talk about
All right, looks like they're having some sort of
About that
drag
later
here.
too.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
So
All right, we're gonna switch up here for a second. I'm gonna go to a actual news story. Let's see if we can pull this up here. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's see.
Now it looks like they're still sort of working perhaps in a water or sewer line there, also working around some of the vegetation on the grounds.
Well, obviously, intelligence has come in, maybe from the second ransom note that they haven't released the details publicly, but it gave some more insight because.
So for those of you who are coming in, our typical show that we have with Calvin Johnson will not be tonight because of the Super Bowl. We know a lot of people are involved with it, but we're going to take a few of the comments and we're going to get through these stories in regards to try to figure out what's happening with the latest update with Nancy Guthrie. Let's see what AI Starseeds is talking about. It says if you are invested in Bitcoin, know for certain legacy media appears to be trying to manufacture a crypto crash by fabricating lies about Bitcoin ransom notes. Okay. All right. So we know that Bitcoin is down dramatically. This is in regards to that. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Old Texas says Trump rules, Democrats, liberals drool. Okay. So we have all different types of subject matter going on. Old Texas says Trump is the greatest president we've ever had in a long time. Biden, Obama is the worst. So a lot of people are quite upset in regards to what happened with Donald Trump and Barack Obama. Actually, with the video coming out that Donald Trump had reposted that actually shows Barack Obama and his wife as some sort of apes or something to that effect. What did you guys think about that? Do you think that that was appropriate coming from the White House? I did see where the president actually said that he would not have to apologize because he did not make a mistake. He had only seen the beginning part of the video, and I guess one of the staff actually put the video out, and toward the end, you have Barack Obama and his wife pictured as being apes and or what have you and bouncing around the place. But definitely a lot of people are upset. In fact, I think Tim Scott and other high-ranking officials actually reached out to the president expressing their concern in regards to him expressing what I believe Tim Scott says some of the worst racism actually ever coming out of the White House. But what do you guys think? Tell us what you think by putting it in the comment section. But let's continue to see what's happening in regards to Nancy Guthrie.
The kidnappers have to prove that they have Miss Guthrie in custody and in their possession, if you will. And maybe that is what's driving this new investigation. But again, the officials are being very tight-lipped at this point. There's such media focus, and I think that the constant media circus is only complicating efforts. But I think personally, this is exactly what the abductors want. They're doing this intentionally, and I think they're more interested in less in money and more in exposure, and they're getting everything they asked for.
I asked Alicia if it might be useful for investigators to also work with local Spanish television. There is a wide and diverse population in that area. Maybe that could also, again, help get word out. If you see something, say something. Does that happen in the course of investigation at all? Do they sort of send messages out broadly to different communities?
Well, this is a unique case. Again, it's being fueled, the virality of the story, the public pleas by Savannah and her siblings begging for a proof of life, wanting to say, hey, we will pay, which I think as I understand, she's made a commitment that they're going to pay the ransom without confirming proof of life, which is a catastrophic mistake. I think the media exposure is exactly what the abductors wanted. They're getting what they want. And right now they're willing to have someone potentially send millions of dollars in Bitcoin that is going to be very hard to trace back for no gain. And I think, but this is what's driving this story. And it's taking other stories off the news. And I think there's multiple other layers we need to be looking at, about the motives of the kidnappers themselves.
Yeah, and I think it's fair. People have said, listen, people go missing all the time. I do think, however, this is a circumstance that is an unusual and a unique one. And I think it's fair to say it's not every day that someone of national note has a parent go missing in such a way. There was apparently, at least my understanding is, and Alicia alluded to this, as did Jonathan Hunt, Saturday night, investigators were back over at Annie Guthrie's home. Is that just sort of dotting I's and crossing T's? You sort of keep going back over to the home of different family members?
So earlier today, they were checking the well. They're checking the local area, the backyards. Also, they reached out to the homeowner association to let everybody know in the local area that they would be searching through their yards and perhaps looking for her. I think it's, if you follow, I imagine that the detectives have to follow both tracks. They have to follow the theory that perhaps someone just maybe unalived her and discarded her or took her. And then there's the whole track that perhaps there's some kidnappers and, you know, the whole line with that. But it appears that the detectives are looking out in the backyard. They're trying to find perhaps clues. But also a lot of people are starting to turn, especially with her being on a pacemaker, having serious health issues and requiring medicine every day. It's almost as if they might be looking for the worst case scenario, although we do not know definitely. But as we're starting to see, the detectives are looking close to home more than anything else, it appears.
Walk me through the thinking behind going back over, taking more pictures, or maybe removing items.
Well, bottom line is, in a lot of kidnappings, it's usually, many times there are family members or relatives involved. There's internal family jealousies. There's resentment with maybe one sibling who's done very well and the others who haven't. So they've got to overturn every stone.
Now, this is a theory that works for most people. They feel like somehow the people that took her or person, right? And keep in mind, they keep framing her as being around maybe 140 pounds. And you hear the arguments that one person, it would have been difficult to get her out because she wasn't able to walk well. But the media is portraying that perhaps even multiple people were involved in her going missing or whatever happened to her, which remains unknown, right? But at any rate, what do you guys think? Do you think this was more of a personal deal with someone that actually knew her? Or do you perhaps think that this was a complete stranger? Tell us what you think in the comments.
And when more intelligence come in, they need to go back. And that's why you're seeing this exhaustive. I mean, we're at day 8 of this crisis. The clock is ticking. Nancy Guthrie is supposed to be on daily meds. She presumably hasn't had in a week. So I think everything is rationing up, and why they're going after anything and everything, including going back to family members to rule out all possibilities.
Let me ask you, as a former hostage negotiator, what is the message you're trying to get out to the apparent abductors in this circumstance? I thought the family, with their videos, have really done an effective job, Dan.
Yeah, imagine how tough it would be to actually have to sit there and express what they did. The family has been doing the best they can in regards to this matter. Let's get to a few of the comments before we move forward. The comments are moving quite along here. Let's see here. Brian is in the building. Okay. All right. Brian is chiming in shortly. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay, let's see here. AI Starseed says, I like how Mike Tyson is the Make America Healthy Again spokesman. All right, that's in regards to a different matter. We're trying to focus here in regards to Nancy Guthrie. Okay, very good. Let's see. Old World says, I think there's something to say for someone who is supposed to represent the world and teaming up with a fighter. Okay. All right, we're going to get to Donald Trump in a few minutes, but right now we're just focusing on Nancy Guthrie. We have quite a few conversations going in the chat, but we're going to definitely go to Donald Trump's most recent interview, but right now we're going to focus on her, okay? It looks like all the discussions are on a multitude of different things, okay? So, all right, so hit the like button, guys, share and subscribe. We're going to finish up with her before we get into Donald Trump.
And of just not just humanizing what's happening, but also sending messaging out there saying, listen, we understand, We are in contact the best way we can with you. We will pay. I think they're handling this the right way. As a former hostage negotiator, is there anything more that ought to be happening?
Well, to be frank, this is the last scenario a hostage negotiator wants to be in, because you want to do negotiations in good faith behind the scenes where you're going one-on-one and you're holding on to the leverage. They want the money. You want your husband, loved one, grandmother back, whoever that is. So this exposure does not help the situation. And, you know, it's hard. I mean, the first letter, the first public plea that they made out to the world with their two siblings, you know, on either side of her, they made all the right statements. They were saying, we need proof of life. We want to confirm that she's alive. She's a wonderful person. They're humanizing them. They're raising the value of the hostages, the emotional value in the eyes of the kidnapper. But now they're turning over all the leverage. So the kidnappers or the abductors, they have all the leverage in this game. The fact that they've said, we will pay without proof of life. And it'd be one thing if it was a direct phone call between Savannah and the kidnappers on a phone call, because normally kidnappers will call the house and make the demands. In this case, they're pushing the demands through the media. Again, not a good faith negotiation. So all leverage is in the hand of the abductors at this point. And every time they're making another statement, they're giving that up.
Okay, so at any rate, this is very terrifying just to think about what's happening in regards to Mrs. Guthrie, who is 84 years old, missing. And it appears for the first time that I've really seen that in this amount of time that has passed, the authorities don't seem to have a clue, or at least they're not showing their hand as to what is happening in regards to her. Well, guys, at this time, we're going to bring on Calvin Johnson, the criminal defense attorney, so that we can discuss these matters from a higher level, from a legal perspective. We thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. We welcome in Calvin Johnson. Calvin, how are you?
And how's everybody doing? I'm trying to sneak away a little bit to try to give you some time.
All right. I know the game is going on, so, you know, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, I got some folks at the house, so but I can sneak away for a minute.
All right. Yes, indeed. Welcome in. What do you think? We've been covering in regards to Nancy Guthrie. What do you think in regards to this case? Is it quite puzzling to you?
Extremely interesting because what happens is when you have something like a kidnapping like this, my mic is kind of bad. Let me try to go out and get back in.
Okay, so until he comes back, we'll have Calvin Johnson back in a minute, guys. But we'd like to hear from you guys tonight in regards to any questions you might have. He's a criminal defense attorney, and while we have him here, you would do well to ask him those tough questions. All right.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I had no trouble hearing you, so I'm not sure what's happening in regards to that.
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm thinking, Mel, in this particular situation is very unique because it looks like the kidnapper is asking for Bitcoin, and that's kind of new. What he is trying to do is get paid anonymously and try not to be traced. So this is going to be a very interesting case because we very seldomly do you have a kidnapping where the person is questioning Bitcoin. Typically, when there's a ransom, there's a place to leave it. But in the past, when we watch the ransom movies, you know, the person goes to get it. They always have somebody watching. Sometimes people have tried to do it in a public place where there are lots of people to see if they can get the money and go. But they don't have to do that now. This is going to be extremely interesting now because the kidnapper is asking to be paid in Bitcoin. And so this is new territory for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's an inside job in any way?
It very well could be. When you have people like this and you have people that have money in the family, let's say they know Samantha Guthrie is very famous. They know she has the ability and the opportunity to be able to get her hands on a decent amount of money quickly. You got to be very careful with your family members, whether it be your brother, sister, or some of your other relatives, because they can try to use the access that they have to you and your family, use your knowledge of the money to be able to truly understand kind of what's happening.
Okay, so in regards to these missing persons and also a lot of the crime, they say usually the last person seen with the individual might be the prime suspect. In this case, I believe they had put out, perhaps through the media, I think the detective is holding it close to the vest, but they're saying the brother-in-law may have been the last person to drop her off around 9 something that night.
And see, that's where you got to be extremely careful because that particular brother in law, not saying he did anything, but he would have the opportunity to do something like that. He would know where she was at. He basically knows there's nobody there to kind of protect her. So that could be a very, very interesting situation upon which, because he has that access, he might be able to do something like this.
Right. The fact that they said that her recording devices, her cameras were disconnected, I believe, around 1 something and then 2 something about 43 minutes later, right? Her pacemaker disconnected from her cell phone. So it's kind of like your Bluetooth when it gets too
Yes.
far from your cell phone.
Mhm.
Does that tell us anything that perhaps it was a stranger or maybe someone that knew about her devices? Because at least two of them, two of the cameras, the one at the front and the one in the back, they say were broken and removed.
Yeah, somebody would have to have inside knowledge of where those cameras are and how they work. And if there were additional cameras in the house, because sometimes you can have cameras that people know about as well as cameras that people don't. And so somebody to be able to have the knowledge to be able to try this. They probably knew that there were no additional cameras. They knew which one to break, and they probably should be able to go from there. And then the reason why you want to try to make sure that those things get disconnected, because in criminal law here recently in the last 3 or 4 years, they have this thing called geomapping. Geomapping allows law enforcement to be able to trace you based off of your devices, your cell phone activity, your cell tower activity, and even if you have stuff like GPS in your cars. I always tell people when you buy a car from a tote the note lot and somebody holds the lien to it, they leave a tracker on your car. So if they are able to repo it, they'll be able to go get it. So there's a number of things between, your cell phone data, cell tower data, as well as flock cameras. If people don't know what flock cameras are, Flock is a company out of Florida, and they probably have access to 70% of the major freeways and thoroughfares in the United States, and they're able to track your cars by reading license plates and having cameras all over the major freeway entrances. So there's a number of ways that you can get tracked nowadays. And so I think to me, it leans to be an inside job to take that kind of risk. You would have to know where the cameras are, and you would have to know that there were not additional cameras on the inside to want to take that kind of risk.
Absolutely. We have a comment here from Captain Thrust. It says this is setting a new precedent. Rich people and their families can be touched. People are hungry out here, and it's probably going to get much worse. What do you think about that?
Some people are desperate, and we don't know if it's an inside job or outside job, but when you are actually a well-to-do person, you have to be extremely careful who you let around you. I just remember back in the day when I worked for my basketball player, we were extremely careful about who we would have around us in the house, who would know where he lived at, and we were extremely careful about who was around us because you don't know, people can plot on you to do some things because they figure that you'll have the money.
Right. Okay. Sober Hellraiser says family killed her. It's obvious.
Well, see, that's the thing. We really don't know. We got to be careful when we start saying stuff like that. But it could be very well a family member that had the ability to kind of know um, where she was, where the cameras were, how to take her, and how to be able to get away with it. For them to be bamboozled this long, say bamboozled, for them to be to the point where they really don't have any information, this job had to be taken out well. It had to be pre-planned, and it had to be planned in advance, upon which they knew that they would be able to get away with it and not leave a lot of clues.
What do you think in regards to the Bitcoin? And that's the way they want to be paid. I think, according to the media, is somewhere around 6 million was the first request.
Yeah. Well, the deal is with that Bitcoin, and I don't understand Bitcoin as much as everybody else does, but I know there are ways to try to hide who's getting paid, and I know that there are ways to try to you can try to track where that Bitcoin is going to, but I think there are multiple ways to hide it. And so, that's interesting. And it's very different. We're used to the olden days where, drop a bag at the park in the trash can and make sure you don't bring any cops with you. Those days are over. In a digital age, people are able to take people and try to figure out different ways to get paid now, because we have so many different ways that you can actually get paid now.
Okay. In this particular case, it took 72 hours before the alleged nappers decided to send a letter. Do you think that's normal to wait so long?
They might have waited so long so they could cover their tracks and they could get out of the purview of law enforcement. It's different from what I've seen in the past, but actually I think it's kind of smart, because if they didn't have any evidence about who you were and where you were going, then it makes sense that, hey, let me get a 3-day head start so I can cover my tracks so that they can't find me. That makes sense.
Okay. What do you think in regards to the fact that the police office, the sheriff, released the scene after, a couple days and then had to go back and close it up again several times?
I just think there's poor police work, that they got to get better training. In this kind of situation, man, you keep everybody off the scene because there's no telling what you can find. Very high profile case, older lady. You want to scan that property with a fine tooth comb, and you don't want people in there, rushing and getting in there, because it's Samantha Guthrie. We all know that everybody's going to be wanting to come over there and look and see what's going on. The news is going to be out there. So why wouldn't you close that scene down? I just think that was a poor job of those officers doing what they did, man. They should have shut that site down, my brother. They should have shut that site down, man. That shouldn't have happened at all.
Are you shocked that some of the news outlets were allowed to actually, or they were not inhibited from actually going to the front door, recording and documenting blood still there at the scene? Is that a normal protocol, you think?
It's not, man. That's just a poor job, man. They should have set up a perimeter. It's Samantha Guthrie. You know what it is. You know that people are going to be coming out. Why wouldn't you set up a perimeter, man? This is poor police work.
Right, right. Also, when it comes to the media, some of the independent news sleuths, as they would call them, were putting out that they spoke to the police and basically had some inside information that perhaps the police were looking at the son-in-law
Mm-hmm.
and some other inside details that the official police says, hey, we didn't say anything like that.
And that's why you got to be careful nowadays, because what you'll have is people trying to get a scoop. They'll try to be reporting stuff, and maybe some of that stuff's not true. They'll try to say that they have an inside to what's happening, because you're living in a day where it's about clicks and views. So if we were one of those channels that just pop on and don't tell the truth, then you could go out and say, hey, A, B, and C is happening. You get people to click on your channel, get people to pay attention to you. And even though you said you had A, B, and C, you don't have the information. So in today's world of technology and people trying to get clicks and views to make money, we got to be extremely careful.
Right, right. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of such a case, maybe in your local area? Are you familiar with any?
I'm not, man. Kidnappings, those are extremely rare. We had a situation where a young lady was actually kidnapped about 4 or 5 years ago over a drug deal that went bad, and she ended up losing her life, unfortunately, in Oak Cliff. an Oak Cliff area out here, and there was no ransom note in that particular one. They took the sister, and once the heat got hot, they killed her. So we hadn't had any ransom type cases down here. There was another case where a guy kidnapped a witness by actually catfishing her on the internet, knowing that she was going to testify against him. The trial date was coming up, and he was able to trick her into meeting with him, and then she met her demise, unfortunately. So those are the only two situations that I've seen here recently in our area that something like this happening. But as far as ransom, no, it's usually because of a criminal case or a deal gone bad. I haven't seen any of the ransom things. And ransom is very hard to anyway because, those kind of things have stopped for a while because it was hard to get paid. But in the payment area, Bitcoin, Cash App, all of these currencies, all of these crypto type currencies, maybe that is leading to that area opening back up.
Okay. The fact that they discuss in the letter, from what we're hearing in the media, that her Apple Watch, the person allegedly knew where her Apple Watch was, and also the floodlight outside of the house in the back, it was destroyed. Do you think those are real clues that the person was actually in the house?
It's real clues because either they were in the house or they knew about all of those things. Because in today's world, when you're going to do something, you have to be extremely careful, right? Because people have those air tags in their cars. People have all these devices. And even the devices we have, and there was messages popping up from my phone on my iPad, and I was like, I didn't want that to happen. But that's what happens in today's technology. And then to me, you would have had to know where her AirWatch was, because if you nabbed her, you didn't want her to have that on and them be able to track that in real time. So it leads to be one of two things: an inside job or somebody who did meticulous planning and watched this family for a long time before they decided to strike.
How do you pay $6 million not really knowing how your loved one will be delivered back to you?
And see, that's the thing. You would have to show me some proof, A, that she's still alive in real time, because I'm not going to give you $6 million. I can't trace you. My loved one's already dead, and I already can't find you. I don't know if I'm doing that.
Yeah, do you think it's the FBI that's coaching them through the whole process, or do you think it's more of the local sheriff?
I think it's probably the FBI in this particular situation. I don't think the local sheriffs have the capability to be able to talk anybody through this. To be honest with you, they've already messed up the crime scene thing. So I would hope that the FBI is coming in on this one.
Right, right. So let's say, for instance, they don't have any clues by the end of the day tomorrow. What do you think is going to look like in that event? What would be next, you know?
You can't really do a lot. The kidnappers, if they seriously have her, they want to get paid, because the longer that they're being chased, the more that they have to deal with in terms of the heat coming down on them. They're still trying to get money. So, this is going to be extremely interesting if they don't come up with the money, and if they can't make that contact, it's going to get real funny, because you don't want to hold a hostage too long. You suffer the ability to be able to get discovered. She's older. You don't want something to happen to her, and then now you don't have the leverage. But once again, when it starts to go on for a while and the Guthries have not heard her voice, that's going to make them reluctant to pay something, and you don't even know if your loved one is still alive and accessible.
Yeah. Do you find it strange that the blood typically stops right at the edge of the porch, and then it's almost like she wasn't there?
Yeah.
There's no trace, from what we know, there's no trace of tires, footprints. And also the family said that they came back to the house looking for some time. So that probably tampers with what could
Yeah.
have been found. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, man. Whoever did this probably was extremely careful. And that's just what it comes down to, man. They were probably overly and extremely careful. And that's what I get from that, because you have to realize, if you were going to go and try to take Samantha Guthrie's mom, you know everybody in the damn world is going to be looking for you. So you got to you got to cover your tracks and know what you're doing.
Right. So the fact that they mentioned the Apple Watch, I want to show you this and ask you a question, all right?
Sure.
All right, let's check it out here. If you see in the picture here, the mother, I think this was several months back, she has an Apple Watch.
Yeah, I see that.
Do you think a person separate from the individual that took her could have gone online, looked her up, saw this Apple Watch and says, well, she had an Apple Watch. There's no way she would have taken it with her for
Hmm.
tracking reasons. So let's put that in the letter. The other item is the floodlight outside back. They happen to see that from the aerial footage. Do you think that this is an argument that maybe the person that's writing the letters is not associated? You think it's possible?
It's possible. It's very possible, but like I said, you just don't know. When you have all this technology, whether it's going inside job or outside job, any of these criminals nowadays they're very aware of law enforcement, flight cameras, any cameras. They're gonna know what their exposure is, right? So anytime you do something and you plan a crime like this, you want to limit your exposure, which means limit your camera time, limit technology, limit your time actually committing the crime at the location. You want to get in, get out, and that you're hoped you're not being photoed or tracked. You want to avoid that at all costs. So that's what that is.
Okay, so now I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about another pressing story in regards to Donald Trump and Epstein. What are your thoughts about all of these files? Another 3 million hitting the deck. It's already a lot of incriminating information that's coming out. Do you think the president has something to worry about?
I think he does. Somebody posted something today and said that the president, Trump, is mentioned 38,000 times in those documents. That's a lot. And that's extremely concerning. And you look at people like Bill Gates, and there was a guy that was doing something with CBS and he's lost his job. And then you look at Bill and Melinda Gates, you look at their divorce, and then now you're wondering when you look at the Epstein files, it said Bill got an STD, was looking for antibiotics because he didn't want to give it to his wife, and then they get divorced. I mean, and that couples like that are very careful, right? When you become a billionaire, they very seldomly divorce because it's a money thing. They want a continuation of that legacy, right? And when they decide to divorce, you got to pay real close attention to that. And so it shines a bit of light on why maybe they got divorced, right? So that is extremely concerning when you have all that happening.
Okay. There's verified documentation that one of the officers that was actually working that night, he had written on as an anonymous source from a website that he saw Epstein go out in a wheelchair, and
Mhm.
later, and perhaps even picked up by a van, and then later perhaps they found Epstein or someone of his liking in his cell, unalived. This was actually presented in the Southern District of New York. Do you think that this type of information is something worth looking at?
I think it is, man. He's a very powerful guy. He has a lot of money. He can hurt a lot of people. He knows a lot about a lot of people. So when you have that kind of stuff going on, there could be some concerning things happening. And then when you look at the fact that he could expose the president to some of his things and some of the former famous people to a bunch of stuff, and you look at President Trump and how he put Maxwell in that low security prison, I wouldn't put it past him at this point, to be honest with you.
Okay, we have AI in the chat is saying that this is a family member who owes a narco debt. This is why, in regards to Nancy Guthrie. What do you think about perhaps that?
I don't know about that. That would be kind of weird. Narcos don't come inside our countries and come our country and do stuff like this because they know that if that is identified, that the government is going to go scorched earth on them, especially somebody like Trump. He's going to go scorched earth after them. He going to snatch Maduro up. He don't care. He don't care about country boundaries and lines. So I don't think that's the issue.
Right. Donald Trump seems to be briefed on this case pretty heavily. He made it seem like perhaps there's light at the end of the tunnel and perhaps this case will be wide open soon. But when you look at the actual officers, it seems that they're still looking for a needle in a haystack. What do you think about that?
And see, that's the thing. We don't know if Trump is just trying to sell us like everything's fine and roses, or are the officers only telling him so much? Because you got to be careful with Trump. He's a new school politician. You tell him something and try to tell him, hey, maybe you don't need to share this. But if he feels like that that the people are coming down on him, he'll share that information against their advice. And so that's a very tricky situation within itself.
Okay, very good. So, when it comes to these Epstein files, do you think that this is going to have a major impact on the midterm elections?
I think it is. I think the Epstein files, along what's happening in Minnesota, and some of the continued harsh immigration enforcement, as well as the limiting of free speech and free movement, and the right to bear arms. I think all of these things are going to come together and hurt the Republicans at the midterm. Then on top of that, now you have him making the ape situation with Michelle and Barack, and so you got some black Republicans or black MAGA that went over there and voted for him. And I don't know how strong, after seeing something like that, that they want to vote for this president anymore. So the president can be in trouble because remember down here in Texas, like up in Fort Worth, and I tell people this, Fort Worth, a red county, man. Trump won that particular county race or state house district race by 17 points. And this person came in and lost it by 21. So it was like a 38-point swing. In a Republican, a solid red area of the state in Texas. So I think that they are highly concerned about what the hell's going on and what's going to happen.
Okay, guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Galvin, could you take a moment to tell everyone who's just coming in who you are and how they can find you?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I can be reached at attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com on my email. I can be reached at theywon'tletmeout.com, which is my website, or I can be reached at 214-565-5600. I'm a 24-year practicing criminal defense attorney out of Dallas, Texas. I hold a Juris Doctorate from St. Mary's University School of Law. I hold a double major in political science and history from Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. And I attended the high school for public services, government, and law here in Dallas, Texas, upon which I graduated from. So I have been involved in politics, history, and government all the way since the age of 13 years old, all the way to now. And I'm 53 now. So I've been doing this about 40 years, been practicing law almost 25.
All right, it's so nice to have you on the show each week to discuss these legal matters. I want to ask you a question in regards to Donald Trump, in regards to Barack Obama. Donald Trump says it was no mistake. Actually, he just saw the beginning of the video. He did not see the ending where Barack and Michelle Obama were featured as apes. Do you think that that's true?
I don't trust our president to tell us the truth. I'm just being honest with you based on his track record. I honestly think that he has slowly been crossing the line. He called those Somali people garbage. There's been a lot of racial tension in terms of the way he has been conducting himself that makes you wonder, dang, does he really like black people? Is he like that? Is he discriminating against us? And I think the fact that the way this came out and that he won't apologize for what happened, I just don't put it past him actually doing that. He hates Barack Obama. He hates Michelle Obama. He's said it on numerous occasions. He's went after them like crazy. I think he knew what he was putting out. To be honest with you, I don't trust his word a whole lot. And that's just me.
When Barack Obama was president, he took on a lot of heat for wearing a light suit. Do you
Hmm.
think that that was worse than posting a former president as an ape?
Man, I'll tell you that this is, posting a former president as an ape and his wife, that's extremely concerning. When you have a leader like that, it just doesn't make him look bad. It makes America look bad. I think that we've lost our ability to be the world's moral compass now. When you have a president do something like that, to be that disrespectful, number one, to the Barack Obama family, and number two, to people of African Americans and people of African descent, to disrespect them like that, it is extremely, extremely, extremely concerning. And then what you have is you have a lot of people trying to come on and justify the video isn't racist and it was about this and it was about that. I mean, Trump's been a politician. He's a smart man. He's a billionaire. He knows when something like this is released that is going to bring up some racial overtones. And so let's quit playing like he didn't know what it was. I mean, let's be honest. Trump's a very smart man. He's a very calculating man, and he feels like he can do whatever he wants. And so let's quit playing like he don't know.
Precision says we don't like talking about the facts.
The facts are that he posted a former president of African American descent and his wife as monkeys, as apes. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, if you are so myopic that you can't see that, then you're probably in a cult. I mean, I try not to go after our listeners because I love people to tune in. But if you're that myopic to where you don't see the disrespect and the racial overtones of that one, then you're probably going to follow this president no matter what. I mean, if he's on fire, you probably will walk up and hug him if you're going to buy the fact that that wasn't racial or racist. But I will tell you, I'll be honest with you about if you want to know how I feel about it, I really don't care much because I don't really respect that particular president's opinion because he wouldn't be as irresponsible to let something like that get out. I can't respect someone who would let something like that come out of his camp. And I don't seek validation from people like that. So it bothers a lot of us. It bothers me some, but I really don't. It doesn't bother me to the level to probably bothering everybody else because I just don't seek validation from people who kind of go there and do those kinds of things, or who are that irresponsible to let something happen like that. You are the leader of the new of the whole world. You are the most powerful, one of the most powerful people on the face of the earth. You have to understand that there's a certain responsibility uh, that goes with that. And there have even been people that are actually MAGA that say, hey, man, that's wrong. And so when you have MAGA come up and say, hey, hey, man, you went too far. So, oh, my God, Tim Scott finally said something. When Tim Scott speaks, that's like E.F. Hutton. He never says anything against Trump. I mean, he's almost trying to hug him, and Trump will walk past and won't shake his hand, and he'll have his hand out, and he still won't get mad. But he actually got a backbone and said that the disrespectful video was a bridge too far. So that's what it is, and we got to be careful, y'all. Like, let's quit playing around.
Yeah, Jared says it wasn't Trump at all. It was his intern.
And see, that's the thing, it gets to this thing and you want to blame an intern. Let's be honest. I mean, why are y'all even doing something like that anyway? Why are you even playing with videos like that anyway? And that's the thing, that's the thing, because that's what it is, and that's just kind of what it is. And it's one of those things where you got to kind of know. And I always tell people, politically, I respect Democrats and some Republicans. I've known some. I've worked with a lot of them in the past. One of my mentors is a guy named Alfonso Jackson. Mr. Jackson was the HUD director under George W. Bush, and he was one of the people who got my helped me get my career started before I went to college. He was a Black Republican. I respected him because I understood why he was a Republican and why he was taking the approach that he took. And it's not a Republican or Democrat thing with Mr. Trump and him posting what he posted. It's a human being thing. And we need to be compassionate. We need to be respectful of people of color and of all races, white, black, brown, yellow, red, whoever they are. And in that moment, he was not doing that. So let's be honest about it, y'all.
Okay, Full of Love says until we get a political leader with compassion and morals, things will not change.
Full of love, I agree with you. And I think that, and I'll say this, it's so things are so intertwined in the parties nowadays, and people go to their parties and then they try to clean up their side of the aisle. If Democrats want to make them look good, if Republicans want to make them look good, but you got to have somebody with some foundational principles and morals, and that's kind of what you got to do. You know, that's kind of what it is, and that's part of the problem out here. When you, especially with Trump and some of the MAGA stuff, when you make any criticism of him, they will always defend it. They'll defend it to the 15th power, you know, and that's unfortunate because we got to have standards no matter who you are, right? So when you say something like this, it's wrong. I don't care if Trump was saying against black people or Barack put some pictures of some polar bears up, that would still be wrong to me. You know, it's wrong is wrong. It's wrong if it's done by the left, and it's wrong if it's done by the right. And that's just kind of the way I look at that.
Louise says it was cute and funny.
Yeah, you know, and there you go. You know, for some people, it's cute and funny, but up to a lot of folks, it's extremely disrespectful. And once again, there you go. You typically have people that support the president. They'll say it's cute, it's funny, or they'll say stuff like, "Oh, it was the intern's fault. Oh, he hadn't saw the whole video." Then you start getting with all of these excuses, and that's the thing. You know, that's kind of what you got. And you know, at the end of the day, as you read the comments, hey, they're going to actually protect and defend this president to the death, and I think that's interesting. You know, I don't think we'd seen this much. I don't know, as they say, cult worship in politics in a long time. You know, people love their Trump. You know, and no matter what he does, racist or not, that they're going to be okay with it. And it's extremely unfortunate because you still have to be president of the United States. So it is what it is.
All right. Kyan says, come on. It was a screen recording that spilled over to the video. That's the excuse given.
Well, you know, like I said before, when you leader of the new world, man, you got to be careful what you put out and what you attach yourself to. And if you don't have enough common sense to understand how important it is to not let that even happen on accident, then maybe you should be president of the United States.
Okay. Do you think that this gives an indication that the president of the United States is racist?
Yes, I think it does. I think it does. And the reason why I say that is because you look at this particular situation. He called the people from Somalia garbage, and he's made these comments about certain people and certain folks. And I always told people, I said, you got to be careful when you start calling Somalians garbage. We next. So at the end of the day, I think that there's some racist things going on there, and there's some racial overtones going on there. And I think that he has been allowed to play this game for a while, and he's constantly pushing the envelope, and he just pushed the envelope again. And even as we watch tonight, you got a lot of people on here coming on here just excusing that particular behavior. And they're saying things about, well, what about Hillary? And they're talking about money and funding. It's not a money and funding thing. It's a situation where you respect people of color or you don't. And in this particular situation, It was a very disrespectful video to somebody who held the highest office for an African American in the history of our existence in the United States. And so I think that people have to understand this. And I always tell people, if you're going to disrespect somebody like Barack Obama to that level, what do you think about the rest of us? He was able to attain the highest office, right? In ever. And him and his wife, they took their job, and whether you agreed with him or not, they carried themselves with respect and dignity. They dressed proper. They talked proper. If you disagree with their policy, I get that, I understand that. But when you disrespect people at that level that are people of color, I always tell people, if they will disrespect them, then they'll damn sure disrespect you. And it's one of those things, like I said, I try not to harp on it too much because honestly, I'm not as engaged even in that disrespect because I don't hold his opinion out or his honesty and opinion out and validation out to be something that I ever really seek. But with that said, it could hurt a lot of people. And I think that is extremely concerning when you make those kinds of comments.
All right. Jared says, oh, you just need a sense of humor. You're taking it too real.
Yeah, well, and it's pretty much, it's kind of easy to say when you're not the one or you're not the race that they're actually, playing this game with. I mean, you got to be extremely careful out here now. You got ICE running around the streets, running into people's houses. A lot of African Americans and people of color and brown people of color, they're not feeling really safe right now. And you got to be extremely careful when you do stuff like this. And I give you an example, like, Trump does something like this. And I hate to say this, but as you even watch our stream tonight, you got people, kind of name calling, doing that type of things. Well, what happens when you're out on the street and then you think you can walk up to somebody and make ape noises and tell them to don't take it that serious and those kind of things, and you get too comfortable? And, people will smack the hell out of you in real life. This is the internet, and you don't want people to get that false sense of security. You know what I'm saying? You don't want people to get that false sense of security that they can play with people like that. Because, the internet's internet. I mean, you could be tough. You could talk to people. You can call them names, idiots, and this and that. I always tell people, you got what they call them. I forgot they call them thumb thugging, right? That's what I call it. I call it thumb thugging. So tonight, basically what you have is, even if you look in our comment section, and listen, I love everybody. I ain't got no problem with nobody. But you got a lot of people coming on and they thumb thugging. They thugs. Thumb thugging, right? See, in their minds, they Tupac, Ice Cube, all of that. Like, they ready to go, right? They're ready to go. But that's the thing. You do this stuff and you do it on social media, and people that are his followers, man, they might go out and say, I can start calling people apes. I can start playing that game with people. And man, you do that to some of these folks out here, man, it could get some people hurt, because in real life, and there are consequences. On the internet, you can just log off. So we don't want people taking the attitude of the president. And I think that you want people to start respecting each other, because, man, things can go really, really bad. Things can go really, really bad. You know what I'm saying, man? You got to be real careful out here, man. There's some folks on the internet, and they get out of Trump, man. He's ape, so I can go up and make ape noises to people. Well, what if you do that? Well, some people you could end up with a 4, 5 piece, 6 piece chicken. Real quick. You can be seeing stars and canaries. So you got to be extremely careful when you do that, because that's just how people will treat you. I don't saying it's the right thing to do, but man, things can go really, really bad. And then you got everybody carrying guns out here. So you got to be very careful with your words. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, Billy says calling names doesn't mean you're racist. You're idiots.
Yeah, I get it. But I think it's a signal that you probably are when you use racist overtones. That if you use racist overtones like apes and monkeys and, oh, no, you really didn't mean that. You're not racist. And see, those are the type things that you gotta be very, very careful about. Like, for example, I tell people, like, he put that video out, right? So what if you were to go out in real life, walk up on some black person making monkey noises and ape noises? What do you think would happen to you? FAFO, you could find out. And see, that's the thing. You can't do those kinds of things. And we have known for years that the ape trope has been used to be racist against African American people. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. You just can't do that. And that's where you got to be extremely careful. And that's the thing, and I always tell people, as somebody says, I'm a black man and I could give two shits about a video. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't really care because I don't seek validation from the president. But I'm going to call a spade, when you go out here and you do that kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff that you shouldn't be doing as a president, and that's the thing. You can't really do that as president, or you shouldn't be doing that. And that's the thing. And see, that's the thing. It's like, people have normalized disrespecting other people, disrespecting other groups. And that's why you see more and more. I've been watching internet, Mel, and you got people walking up on folks and grocery stores and doing stuff and thinking that, hey, that with the stuff they saw on the internet, they're going to be okay when they do that. Next thing you know, Batman sound effects. You got to be very careful out here and to respect everybody. I wouldn't go out calling people cracker, honky, and posting pictures of polar bears and all those type things. Man, you can't do that stuff. That's dumb. I wouldn't do that. I think you don't disrespect people like that. And I think that you got to be careful. I think you got to give respect to give respect. And as a president, there's no way that you accidentally let a video get out of a president and a former first lady as, apes.
Yeah. Jacob says now you're spreading bullshit propaganda.
I didn't spread it. He wasn't gonna put the video out. Like, if he didn't put the video out, we won't be talking about it. And see, that's the thing, And once again, and that's the thing, You got people. You're the one making everything racist, nauseating. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. See what has happened in America. In America right now, it's like you can do the racial stuff. Oh, you're taking that out of context. Oh, he didn't mean it. Oh, this, oh, that. Is those kinds of things that are happening in America that make me have concern, Mel, about where we're going and our ability to be able to move our country forward. Because, see, as you see some of this behavior on the internet about, oh, you're lying, BS, this, that. See, if you get with the wrong person in person, and let's say you're amongst somebody of a person of color, and you repeat some of the stuff that Trump puts out there, that's a bad situation for us to be in. We're not going to get along. It's going to cause more dissension and separation. And in some situations, people are going to get violent with each other, man. We really need to turn this kind of racist rhetoric down. And we really need to be extremely careful. If you're going to be president of the United States, you want to make sure that you handle yourself properly. And then the other thing, Mel, is I think that you have to understand some of his supporters, like I said, you can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they're going to say he's not guilty. They're going to say, hey, the person got in the way of the bullet, So that's what they're going to say. And I've had to learn and I've had to accept that, hey, the person got in the way of the bullet. He shot and the person jumped in front of the bullet. That's exactly what you would get from some of them. And as you see, that's what you're getting tonight. It's all, look at the comments. Look at our comment section. Our comment section is an example of why I'm losing faith in this great experiment of America that we have, Mel, because nobody respects each other anymore. And it's a new day. It's a new day. Very, very disappointing from this president. And I think he's going to lose a lot of support from there. There's a lot of black folks that I know voted for him, and I've heard from some of them, and they said they ain't going to do it no more. So, which I didn't do it, and I would never do it anyway because I didn't think that he was an honest man. And not saying anybody else is honest, but I just don't. I know for sure that he has not been honest. So, on a number of things. So, but with that being said, he's done some things that I've agreed with. He's done some things I have disagreed with. But at the same time, this is a big deal to a lot of people. Like I told you, as far as I'm concerned, I really don't put a lot of stock into it for myself because I never really seek validation from people like that anyway. I always tell people when somebody critiques you or your people, look at the person who said it. And if you don't have a great amount of respect for that person, then, you just go on. You just don't, you push it to the side. But it just shows a lack of class that he did what he did.
Okay. What about tonight? The president and his administration wants to kick anybody out who is an illegal immigrant. Do you think they will start pulling people out of the crowd at the Super Bowl?
Good luck with that. I think they need to be extremely careful. That's in California. They're in California. That game's in California tonight. I think they need to be extremely careful. I think that a lot of people have had enough of that that kind of behavior, and they need to be extremely careful about trying to do that in an area like a Super Bowl, because I always tell people, you follow the law and you don't stop people from doing their jobs, but there is a thing called probable cause. You can't randomly walk up on somebody and start telling them to give you your ID just because they speak with an accent or so on and so forth. You need to be able to identify who you're trying to deport and then go in and deport them. Because I think what's happening, Mel, if you notice, I think there's a huge lack of training with these ICE officers. I mean, you're sending them into large urban areas like that, and you're having them take out operations where they really don't know what's going on there. So I think they need to start being really careful. I mean, they've actually killed people now, and so for the average American, when you have an encounter with ICE, you would hope that if you comply, that nothing happens to you. But if you have a interaction with ICE, there's no guarantee that you're going to leave that interaction alive. And so people are aware of that now. So you, as a person, as an individual, you have a responsibility to make sure that they don't end your life by doing whatever you got to do at this point. And that's how some people feel about it. Now, is that right to feel that way for some people? I don't know. But at the same time, you got to be aware that they have killed 2 people. And one guy shot him 10 times. And so, and another lady, they split her cabbage all over her car as she was driving. So you got to really start thinking about those things when we have those ICE interactions.
Okay, guys, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Calvin, take a moment, tell the new people who you are and what you do.
I'm attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I am a 24-year practicing attorney out of Dallas, Texas. I do state, local, and federal criminal defense. I also am a graduate of Howard Payne University. I have a degree in political science and history, and I have a Juris Doctorate from St. Mary's University School of Law. And we do this show called the Weekly Legal Review every single week, every Sunday night. And we try to go over politics and the law and recent things that are happening out and here lately. And our president has been in the headlines a lot. And there's been a lot of questions about the legality of some of the things that they're doing. Like, for example, walking up on people, randomly asking them for their IDs when there's no probable cause and those types of things. There are going to be a lot of constitutional challenges to that kind of stuff. And then in addition to that, when it comes to government, like I said, I hold a degree in political science and history. And then I've taken a lot of government classes. And when you have a government that is in charge of an agency as large as ICE, they need to properly train those ICE folks so that they do their jobs right and that people are safe. as well as the ICE officers are safe. Because I'm even hearing, and Mel, I don't know if you heard this, a lot of the ICE officers right now are not feeling safe when they're doing these operations because people are, they've lost the trust of the people. You know, like if I walked out, if I drove out right now, and there's a place up here in, I don't know if you heard about this, Mel, there's a huge warehouse district right outside of Dallas, about 10 miles outside of Dallas, called the Hutchins District. And there was a large industrial warehouse that was supposed to be used in a bunch of businesses, and they did not use it for that. And there's talk that ICE is going to buy it and have a detention center here in Dallas, Texas, right outside, 10 miles outside of Dallas. It's not even 10
Wow.
miles. I would say it's about 8 miles outside of Dallas, Texas. And people are highly concerned because if they do that, they could potentially have a lot of operations in Dallas, Texas, trying to run around here and pick up people. And that's concerning for me because, like I said, if they're not coming in my house because somebody signed a warrant. I don't trust that. And you're not going to be stopping me and stopping my loved ones and running up on them with masks and weapons. We're not going to have that just as an individual. So, you know, I'm prayerful that that they don't come down here like that because I'm not having that.
Okay. The President of the United States has said that if the Democrats win the midterm elections, then more than likely they're going to try to impeach him. We also have seen Steve Bannon say if the Democrats win the midterm elections, he could potentially be locked up. So the president said last week that he will honor the final say-so of the elections if they are honest.
And see, that's the concern I have. He may try not to honor the results of this election. And he might try to tell his people not to honor the results of that election. And that's what I'm extremely concerned about, because if there's an election and the other side loses, they got to go. That's just it. And so, and that's where there's going to be a problem, because if they lose and they don't honor the people's will, there's going to be a problem, because at that point, you become a dictatorship. And then at that point, you're not legally in charge of the country, as far as I'm concerned. And a lot of people who think like me are concerned. And so there are going to be consequences for that if you don't honor that.
Okay, Evelyn has a question for you up top.
Yes. How do we turn Texas blue? That's going to be hard. I tell people I do know Jasmine Crockett. I have a really good relationship with her because she's actually my state rep here in Dallas, Texas. I helped her get elected in House District 100. I supported her when she ran. So I kind of know of her. But it's very hard here in Texas because you have you got big urban areas like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin. But people don't understand Texas is huge, and they have hundreds of small counties that are all red. And you may think, well, you got a few million people here, here, and here, and here, but you got 30, 40, 60,000 in 100 counties, and 90% of those people are voting red. So you got a huge disparity and problem. So, you know, that's the thing. You know, that's just what it is. You know, that's why it's very, very hard to turn Texas blue. I also think that, and we've had several conversations, I think the Democratic Party went too far left with some of their stances. And I think it turned a lot of independent voters off. I think it turned a lot of African-American men off. And I think it showed in the numbers of Black men not voting as high as they used to, and then even 15% leaking over to vote for Mr. Trump. And as well as independents, a lot of independents need to know that the Democratic Party will kind of move more toward the middle, and that they care more about working families, regular folk. I know there are a lot of specialty groups, LGBTQ, women, other groups of people that are under the Democratic tent. But I think that regular folks need to know that this party is going to prioritize the regular person trying to raise a family, have a job, go get a college degree, feed their family, and have a normal life. I think that the Democratic Party needs to move back to the center. I think they went too far left.
Okay, ADF says, dude, MAGA could care less about laws. Trump or nothing. That's about it.
And I agree with that. And see, that's the thing. I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said that people need to understand that democracy as that is works. I think you've taken it for granted. I think that the MAGA people, as well as Mr. Trump, they have decided that the current version or the recent version of democracy does not work for them. And so they're going to create a new one. They're going to try to bend the rules. And it's a very good chance that even uh, if they lose the election or when they lose the election, that they're going to actually accept the fact that they lost, you know? And so that's the thing. And that's why you got to be extremely careful there, right? Because you just don't know.
Okay, very good. Caprello says he wants to move to Russia.
I don't know if you want to do that. Putin, man, Putin, a whole nother animal, man. He's another animal. And see, that's the other thing too. You know, you get a lot of backbiting here, even in Texas. And man, we can go a little longer tonight. I'm okay. I can go at least another 10 minutes. Even in Texas, you got the Tallarico Crockett race, and you got a lot of the Democrats that say, well, Tallarico was more electable, right? They're going to say that. And so they're trying to push people to not vote for Representative Crockett because they say that Tallarico is more electable. And I'm just not a fan of that. If you go into a primary and you don't get the most votes, then you don't get the most votes. And so I think that the electability question around somebody who happens to be an African American woman for the Democratic Party, that's a touchy subject because you got 92% of African American women vote for the Democratic Party, and now you're telling one of its most successful, who preceded the great Eddie Bernice Johnson, who is one of the most powerful women in our state's history. Jasmine Crockett succeeded her. Now you're telling her that she can't win a statewide election, and so people should vote for Tallarico. I have some concerns about that. That's not a good look. It's not a good look for two reasons. Number one, you're disrespecting the 92% demographic who votes for your party. And there was an issue where Colin Allred, I don't know if you've been hearing about this in Texas, him and Mr. Tallarico got into it because Mr. Tallarico said that he ran a mediocre campaign, and Mr. Allred thought that had some racial overtones to it. And so they've been arguing. And so you had a lot of Tallarico supporters come out and say, well, he's lying, and him and Crockett got together to run game, and they're trying to disparage Mr. Tallarico so people won't vote for him. And I thought that was extremely interesting because you got 92% of African-American women voting for the Democratic Party, 85% of African-American men, and then you have Democrats basically calling some of the most highly elected African-American people in the state liars and conspiracy generators. That's just not a good look for this party, especially when they have an opportunity to actually win an election, win one of these Senate seats that are coming up. So yeah, everything's going to be extremely interesting when this election happens, and so it is what it is. I want to go back to some of the comments. Trump running scared from taking an IQ test alongside of Crockett. That's pretty funny. There was one comment before that, Mel. Look at the comment before that. There was a comment before that was extremely interesting. Can you go back and take a look at that? Oh, they expect us black folks to support illegals and handouts for them, y'all bugging. And see, that's the thing. That's been a huge question. A lot of African Americans feel like they should not be supporting the amount of illegal immigrants coming over to this country and being able to stay here and work here and get benefits. And so that's a question that we're dealing with, like the people in Chicago dealt with. And so that's the thing. And that's why you got to be extremely careful. And I think that somebody else said, I'm an independent. I didn't bother in the last election because I didn't like either candidate. And see, that's the thing. You got people that are disengaged because they don't trust either side. And so you got people like saying, well, I'm not gonna vote for the Democrat because I don't like him, and I probably wouldn't vote for Mr. Trump because I just wouldn't vote for him. And they're not voting at all, and I think that's helping the Republicans when you have situations like that. So that's extremely careful. So, and somebody said, look at the economic history of the Republicans. They absolutely suck. They're racist and they start more wars. See, that's the thing. You got some people that feel that way. There are also racist wings of that particular party that do some things. Those Proud Boys and some of the far right MAGAs can be that way at times, and so you have that issue. Stop voter restrictions in Texas, 2 voting boxes on purpose in counties. That has happened. And Mel, I don't know if you know, they restricted the number of places you could vote. They pulled back the number of voting boxes. They're pulling back the number of voting locations. That's what they do in Texas. They do actually voter suppression by doing things like restricting locations to vote, access. They're poll watching a lot. If you show up with a T-shirt, the wrong thing on it, they won't let you vote. And I've heard that even sending people to kind of intimidate people a little bit so that they don't vote. So you got to be extremely careful. And in some of the poll watchers, because I don't know if you notice, even in let's say a black district or a white district, they'll send different people, Republicans and Democrats, to do poll watching and make sure everybody is voting properly. So it's going to be extremely careful. Extremely interesting. And I think we need to be extremely careful in this election. I think it's going to be very, very hard to turn Texas blue. But if I think it's going to happen, I think it can happen now because I think people do not like the direction of this country.
Okay, there's a new comment.
Body Democrats always raise taxes and yet scream about affordability. Make it make sense. I definitely understand that. I don't want them to raise taxes. I want them to be a little bit more efficient with the money that they have. I definitely understand that. And so, because somebody like myself who's accomplished, I don't want to pay more taxes after I've worked hard. So I think that we got to be careful. They said Obama didn't do nothing but give gay laws and Asian laws. So their protection. Hey, that's a valid concern. That's a valid comment. I've heard from a lot of people when it comes to Barack Obama. A lot of people are extremely upset that he didn't do more for African Americans, and they felt like he took over other groups instead of his own. I can definitely understand how people feel that way. Attorney, so what is your prediction for Crockett versus Tallarico? I think right now it's a dead heat. I think Crockett has a great chance to win. I think it's going to get a little ugly. And from what I see, and I don't know if it's just me, but when it comes to electability, when I see comments around electability, it seems like those comments come from Anglos or those comments come from Hispanics when it comes to Crockett and electability. And I think that is a ugly scab that's getting peeled off, right? A lot of people are saying, especially when I talk to other African Americans and other folks, that there's certain folks in our party that just feel like a black woman can't win a statewide race. She won't be the best person because people in rural Texas ain't gonna vote for her. And because of that, they don't want her as the candidate, even though she could very well win the primary. And so those are the things that we talk about. And that's concerning because the only way that you're going to turn Texas blue is you're going to have a high number of African Americans that turn out, African American women and African American men, because that Democrat votes 88% Democrat, right? And so on one end, you're telling Ms. Crockett that she shouldn't win because she's not electable, but you're depending on African American men and women to deliver the votes for your candidate. And I'm gonna say it because nobody else is saying it. I mean, I just think that's it's diabolical, and I think it's kind of disrespectful. And I think that when I talk to a lot of African Americans privately, see, they won't say this, I'll say it. They're really concerned about that. Like, we're being told that our candidate or the candidate that looks like us is not electable. And after you do that, you want to say, hey, she's not electable, vote for Tallarico. And then after you tell us that our candidate is not electable, that we need to come out in droves and vote for the other guy. And I think they need to be extremely careful when they have those conversations. I think it's disrespectful. And I think that is leading to a lot of dissension in the Democratic Party right now.
Okay, there's a comment there for you.
The Democrats still fighting to give illegals, undocumented immigrants. And I definitely could understand and see that. I think that we need to be careful when it comes to illegal immigration. I think there needs to be some policy put in place. The Republicans control the House, the Senate, as well as the House of Representatives and the presidency. Maybe they should try to do something to pass some immigration reform. They are in control 100%. So that's probably what they should try to do. But I do agree that we have to be careful about this immigration. We just can't let everybody in. And I think African Americans have to be extremely careful with their capital. When I say their capital, right? African American people have fought for a lot of rights in this country, right? And you don't want to give away your capital by supporting something that the majority of the country said we probably need some kind of controls on. And that's the conversation that in the Democratic Party, a lot of people are not having. So the people at the bottom should financially embrace others coming in and take the available jobs. And see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm looking at Kenneth Ford and her comment, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that say, hey, they should be coming over here getting the benefits and the jobs. And we've been here. We built this country. It's that kind of thing. And then there's no rules about what they're able to do. And so that's where we got to be careful. I think we got to do something with immigration. I'm not saying we got to keep everybody out, but we got to figure out a way to do this thing better.
Okay, very good. So, what do you think is the best way forward for the country to unite? Because right now, especially with Donald Trump and the whole Barack Obama ape thing, everybody is going to war.
I don't think that we can unite at this point because of some of the behavior of our president. Now, don't get me wrong. When you vote for one side and your side didn't win, you should be able to live and work with the person who wins for the 4 years until you get your shot to vote that person out. But I do not think that we can be united at this point for several reasons. Because number one, the immigration stuff with ICE is a problem. The disrespect of Barack and Michelle Obama. There's a lot of people that don't play about that. So there's a whole swath of African Americans that say, hey, listen, if you can't respect the highest level of person then that was able to be president, you're not going to respect the rest of us. And so, and there you go. And at the end of the day, I think that's going to be a problem to try to get around that. And then you got a lot of people that come on and minimize the behavior of the president, whether it be white folks saying, oh, you're taking it too far, it's just fun, it's just in jest, taken out of context, or even some black folks that talk about our own internal problems in our own communities that we're not solving, right? With that being said, we're still talking about unity in America. Can we unify under this president? And the answer to that is no.
Okay, all right. Here's another comment for you.
Why nobody going to jail for this estimate? I don't know what he's talking about on that one.
All right, very good. Let's see if we can find one more for you. How much time you have? I don't know how much more to.
No, man, we can go another 7 minutes, man. We can go up to 150, man. We're good tonight.
Okay, Sassy Mo has one here for you.
Undocumented immigrants paid taxes into Social Security and Medicare without using those services they brought in of $100 billion. Hey, I definitely understand that. That's something that people talk about, that they had those things taken out of their checks, and if they're getting checks. And I definitely understand that. But we have to figure out some kind of way to be able to have those people come in a way that they can work, that we know who's coming in and coming out, or that there's a legal, normal way to be able to get some immigration in this country the right way. But just walking over and setting up shop, man, that's not going to work. And we got to really do something about that.
Okay. The cheese thinks that Crockett is dumber than Kamala. What do you think about that?
You know, I always tell people, Jasmine is a lawyer. She was able to go to law school. She was able to pass the bar. I think she's a very intelligent woman. And I think that people have to be extremely careful when they get in this rhetoric. And then it's like I said before, we're in the internet age where people can say whatever they want without actually walking up on people, talking to them, or understanding what they're talking about. I mean, she was able to win an election, House district, a Senate election, when she initially wasn't even the favorite. She's actually worked on a lot of cases. I've worked on cases with her before. She's actually a practicing lawyer here in Dallas. She went to law school, passed a bar in Texas. And so it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of this media, all because you don't like her and you think that, the MAGA says she dumb, so she dumb, all that kind of stuff. You know, you can't really do that. I don't think that's responsible to say stuff like that. And once again, you got to be extremely careful because in this highly toxic political environment, you get those kind of comments.
Okay, Unicorn makes a good point here about life.
Life moves pretty fast. Might want to stop around and look around once in a while. You could miss it. Hey, I agree with that because what I tell people, you might want to look at that. You might want to look at life and slow it down. You got to be extremely careful. And so you got to be extremely careful. And that's what you got to do. And see, that's what goes, shouldn't blacks be deported too? See, you got those kind of comments, those kind of disrespectful comments and those things. No, we shouldn't. We were brought here. We didn't walk over. We were brought here. And we built, and matter of fact, we worked for free for about 400 years. So that's why we can't be deported. So, and if you go to the letter of the law, we were made citizens because of the constitutional amendment. And I think that we need to be extremely careful with Trump because they're now making arguments that that the birthright citizenship was only meant for the descendants of slaves. And they're trying to make that push. And yeah, we got to be careful with that. So people that are in this country coming over here and getting born, they need to be careful because I think that's the next frontier.
Okay, General Johnson says wants you to speak on Epstein. He's not dead. The whole incident is a joke.
Hey, man, I was talking to somebody about that. And they were like, man, I don't know if old Epstein is actually dead or not. I wouldn't put it past his government. I don't have a lot of trust in our government right now. So that could very well be the truth for a lot of people.
A lot of people feel like Epstein was a member of the Israeli Mossad. What do you think about something like that?
I don't know. He was very powerful. And I watched a lot of shows on him and they said that he was supposed to have all of this money and all of this power. And I was like, where'd he get it from? And they said that they would look and they would see, well, what was he doing to get his money? And they said he dealt in information. And when I say dealt in information, I think a lot of had information on people. A lot of world leaders coming over, doing stuff, having tapes, having videos. I think he was very good. I had a very good manipulation game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying.
Right. Face Karma, thank you very much for the super chat and the member. Thanks for supporting the channel. We really do appreciate it. PG says, did Biden really let 20 million in? I want to talk to you about that. Initially, they were saying it was 4 million in 4 years. Now, Trump said as of this week, it was 25 million in 4 years. Is this number a real number or are things being expanded on?
I don't know. With him, sometimes he doesn't tell the truth about things. But I would imagine that there's a lot of immigration people that just got let in that were just walking over. And like I said, that can't happen. That's not responsible. That should have happened. And I always tell people, yeah, you got some people coming into our country for a better life. But with that being said, you just can't let people walk over and have citizenship just like that. We needed to do something to get a hold of that.
Are you amazed that Tim Scott called out Donald Trump as he said that this was the most racist thing that he's seen come out of the White House? He said the most racist, not the only.
And that's funny. In his word usage, you read a lot into what he says, right? So the fact that Tim Scott said something, I mean, he usually yucks it up with them. He smiles, he showed them teeth, looking like a character out of Fat Albert, and just, smiling, all the time. They do handshakes and they pass him up and they don't even shake his hand, respect him enough to shake his hand. The fact that that guy said something ought to tell you something. Because when it comes to racism, he's like the EF of the racism. When he says something, because he don't see anything as racist. And the fact that he spoke up and he spoke up against Daddy Trump, hey, that's serious.
Okay. PJ says if a crisis hits America, Trump could not lead us out of it. What do you think? How would you grade Donald Trump on the we don't want to use the word the pandemic. I guess we could say that.
I would give him a C minus or D.
Really?
I don't think he did a good job there. And I just think that you delegitimize a lot of our agencies that were able to watch certain things. And I think that you got to be extremely careful when you got stuff like that going on here in America. And that's just that. I mean, I think we could have handled that situation better. But it's just tough with a pandemic. I can't harp on them too bad because that's something that was unprecedented. You know, having a pandemic like that comes along once every 100 years. But I did not like some of the stuff that came out. I would give him a C minus.
Okay. Bruce says ICE is awesome.
See, that's what I'm saying. You got people that they say stuff like that. You know, they're awesome, but they're shooting people 10 times in Minnesota, shooting women in trucks. I heard they killed another individual in another state. I just think they're highly untrained officers that they don't know what they're doing, and they need some training, and they need to be trained, and they don't have the proper temperament to be doing what they're doing, and it's concerning because they're eventually going to get themselves hurt because what people are going to say is, you know what, having this encounter with ICE, I need to make sure that I make it out of this encounter, so I'm just going to take my chances protecting myself.
Okay. Loretta touches on a point, says green card holders can no longer get business loans. And also this week we see that 350,000 Haitians are on the potential chopping block. And for those, until they figure out what's going to happen, they cannot renew their driver's license.
And see, those are things that are happening in places like Florida and some of the other places, and that's what they're doing now. I mean, they're being hard, they're being extremely strict on what they're doing to people, especially people of color. If you come from one of those countries that are of Latin descent or African descent, they definitely don't want you over here. So that's what a lot of people are saying. That's how a lot of people are feeling and what they're doing.
Shout out to Philip from Australia. Thanks for coming back and supporting the channel. Lisa, shout out to you too. Lisa says Trump is making the U.S. and the world a safer place.
Well, I don't know about that. You know, there's a lot of people don't feel safe when ICE is around. Now, listen, if you want to deport people, hey, man, do your job and deport them. But you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where American citizens are getting killed. So, and it's not going to be safe down here in Dallas. They get to riding around and doing stuff. So people don't feel safe.
Okay. AI Starseed says FBA will shut down a Democrat Party again in 2026.
If people don't know what FBA, this Foundational Black Americans, and there's a lot of concern that Black Americans that are here or that were, descendants of slaves or low on the Democratic Party, and that they may not show up in the numbers that they have in the past. And there's some concern about that because once again, like I told y'all before, the Democratic Party needs to get back to regular folk and understanding that they don't need to always just take care of people that are on the far right. They need to start taking care of other people as well.
Okay, Tech Tyranny says midterms red wave is coming.
Well, in Tarrant County here in Dallas, there was a 38-point swing in a high red county. I don't know how true that is, but if you're having 38-point swings in Texas, I can imagine what's going to happen somewhere else.
All right. Here's a great comment for you to break down.
First of all, we are not African American. We need a nationality that ties us to the land that is recognized, to law, land, and land. And see, that's the thing. People have to understand that we are from a whole. When you look at us as a whole, when we got here, we're from a bunch of different tribes. And people who don't understand Africa and make certain comments there are different tribes that people are from. And so they gave us this name of African Americans because we came from Africa, and we were Americans based on slave descendancy. So I try to tell people that when we talk about African Americans, we just think that everybody's from one tribe. I mean, you truly understand African history. There's so many tribes in Africa, and even in certain countries, there are different tribes, even in certain countries. So, you got to be extremely careful when you start talking about exactly what you are and where you're from. But with that being said, the descendants of slaves, FBAs, whatever you want to call them, they are just starting to delineate themselves from just the other people of African descent, that whether it be Caribbeans or Africans that actually come from Africa.
Kamala is rebranding, trying to appeal to the younger crowd. Do you think she can run for president and win 2028?
I don't think that she can. I don't think that she will survive a primary. I think last time there wasn't a primary. I would prefer to have anybody in there outside of Trump right now, but I would prefer to have another candidate, give somebody new a shot at it.
Do
Have a
you
real
think?
primary and let the people pick.
Okay. Do you think there's any strong winner potential there?
If who? If Kamala goes?
No, just for any Democrat. Do you think that anyone can run and
I
beat
think
Trump?
somebody can run and win. I think we have a lot of choices that we would have to make. I think we got a lot of strong candidates. I would like people to go through a primary season. If you go through a primary season, I think we'll come out with somebody that'll be decent, that could beat Mr. Trump or Mr. Vance or whoever comes out of that camp over there.
Okay. To double says all black people didn't come over here as slaves, sir.
Well, that may be true. That may be true. But like I said, the majority of them did. And so, or their descendants did. So for the majority of that, that's true. But there also is a small percentage that did not.
All right. Brian says Epstein is dead.
Maybe. We don't know, man. We don't know. Hey, Jeffrey was very powerful. So I'm reading all these emails. I mean, you got to watch it.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, here we go. Here's another comment for you.
I said, this is our land because once bodies are buried on a land, it becomes a lodale. Okay, I get it. And I always tell people, I have an uncle who served in. He's a Brown Star winner. My grandfather served in the military, so we fought for this country. Even after we fought for this country, my ancestors came back and were disrespected when they got back home. But with that being said, we got a lot of grit and hard work and sweat into being Americans. And so, hey, we want this country to run proper.
Okay, we'd like to ask you guys to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Kevin, a lot of new people here. Could you take a moment and explain what you do and who you are?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I'm a 24-year practicing attorney out of Dallas, Texas. I hold a Juris Doctorate degree of law from St. Mary's University School of Law, and I hold a bachelor's of political science and history from Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas. And I've been a former political candidate, and I do a lot of community work. And like I said, for the most part, I do criminal defense work, but law, history, politics, and government, that's kind of what I specialize in. And I've been doing it for years.
Okay, what's your opinion on the Minnesota fraud?
Man, that shouldn't happen. They need to investigate that. Those people need to go to jail. And if government people were involved in it, they need to go to jail too. Anybody that steals on their level, they got to go to jail. Period.
Okay, all right. Someone is saying that Jasmine Crockett should run for president. What do you think about that, Amy?
Hey, man, you got some people that love Jasmine, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm not opposed to that. I have to be honest with people. I do support Jasmine Crockett. But it's one of those things I just, you put her out there and see what happens. Like she's in a dead heat right here in Texas right now. So let's see what happens. And they say, what's your opinion on Jasmine Crockett? I have to be extremely careful because I know her personally. And I tell Mel this all the time. During her first two campaigns, she came to my community. when nobody knew her, when other people wouldn't come to the community. So I supported her because I saw something in her that was different from other politicians. Because you had some people who would not come to the south side of the city. I mean, she came to the hood, Dixon Circle. We gave bicycles away. We did another giveaway at Ring of Hope Boxing. And she has been extremely accessible since she has been in office. I'm wishing the best for her because I know her and I saw her grind. So that's what I think about Jasmine Crockett.
Okay, can you address the question up top?
Tell me what country you can enter legally and have rights. Hey, I definitely understand that. That's what I say. We got to get a hold on what's going on with immigration in our country. We can't let people just sashay up here and then get all this stuff. You can't do it. It can't happen.
Okay, they're trying to say you support Jasmine just because she's black. Wow.
No, I'm supporting Jasmine because I've dealt with her before. And I try to tell people when she ran for office, I'm supporting her because she was responsive. Before she was elected, she came to our community. When she was elected, she came back. I pointed out some things that we needed, like we needed funding for our Martin Luther King Jr. Center, and she made that happen. There were some issues with Fair Park. She got those resolved, and she made those things happen. I'm supporting her because I know her. I've seen the work that she's done. And like I said before, when we had other people running for office that would not even come to the poor southern part of the city, she came, she showed up. And I've watched her not just with the famous people spend time with, but somebody, if they were homeless or hungry, she would take the number. She would have her people reach out to that person, see if they could get them help with services. So I've actually witnessed this with my eyes. So I support her because I've seen her do the work and I've seen who she is and how she conducts herself. A lot of people have an impression of Jasmine because of what they see on TV and all of the arguing with Trump and the interviews of the senators and the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff or whoever she got into it with. I don't see it from the standpoint. I've seen her actually do work in our communities and be responsive. So I support her because of that. And then that's the thing. And if you want to try to challenge me on that, you don't live in Texas, you don't live in Dallas, you don't live in her district. So you can't really go back and forth with me on that. I've actually seen her do the work.
Okay, Capello says that you try to be centrist, but you're all the way left.
I'm probably left more than center, but I'm pretty much center on most stuff. I'm reasonable. If somebody comes along with a good idea on the right, I'll listen to it. I'm not for everything that's on the left, and I'm down for now for a lot of stuff that's on the right. But with that being said, I said I'm probably center left in my politics.
Okay. Someone in the audience said that all these Somalians need to go, get them out of the country, send them out of here along with the Haitians.
Well, you got people that think like that, and if they have a reason to be here, if they're not citizens, if they don't have a legitimate reason for being in the country, the Congress has to discuss that. They have to start talking about that kind of stuff and seeing what they're going to do with some of them. If who's going to stay, who's going to go, they need to deal with it. But they need to have some kind of comprehensive policy that's going to deal with that.
Okay, I dropped the link just in case someone wants to hop up really quick. But Matrix says only with Trump does a person's race matter.
No, it matters the other way too. I mean, when it comes to if somebody's being racist, I call it like it is. It is what it is. But with that being said, once again, that's deflecting. He made a comment. He posted an unsolicited video of Barack and Michelle Obama's apes. And so he has to own that and take responsibility for that. And that's the truth.
Okay. Can you address the comment up top?
Trump can't the world stage. Who are you kidding? We are being laughed at out of every trade agreement and booed everywhere else. I think I can agree with a lot of what he's saying. Trump's temperament on the world stage, I have some concerns about. It's very, very, very careful. It's one of those things. And somebody said, I live in the Panhandle in Texas. Jasmine is terrible. She doesn't represent your district. I mean, so how can she be terrible to you? You're in the Panhandle in Texas. And see, that's the thing. Jasmine is, if people know what the Panhandle is, that's like really, really, really like West Texas. We're in Northeast Texas. So that's the thing. I mean, you can be from a certain place and be like that. Her district looks like a third world country. No, it does not, because I live in it. And there's some very nice areas in her district. There's some areas in the district that need some work, but it's not. And you can try to say all of that you want, but I'm from Dallas and I live here, and you can see I got a pretty nice place behind me. So it's not like a third world country. So, once again, you look at this, and Mel, I want you to take interest in this. You see a lot of the talking points that you see on the internet, and you see a lot of the talking points, even when it comes to comments on our show, that they hear and they talk about without knowing. Like I said, I'm from Panhandle of Texas, and Jasmine is terrible. No, she is not your representative. You probably need to go deal with your representative and talk to them and see what they can do for you. But Jasmine doesn't represent Western Texas. I mean, she represents North Texas, District 30, where I live in.
Okay, there's a new comment for you about the Somalis.
Somalia said they're going to take over this country, and Trump won't be allowed to see it. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. Now I'm gonna tell you that there's some black folks that have not been happy with Somalis because of some of their delineation away from us. But if they're committing crimes, they gotta go. Do you agree with the Democrats that say the MAGA and the right need to go to education camps? Well, education camps. Oh my God. Well, I would tell people that it's funny that the red states in America finished last in education. I mean, the redder the area, the lower they are in education in terms of the ranks in America. That's something that is true, especially in the South. He has a lot of support the South, and a lot of those places like Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, they rated some of the worst places when it comes to education.
All right, you have a big supporter here.
I live in Dallas, and I agree with Calvin. That's what I'm saying. Pretty things, hey, and that's the key. Like, we live in Dallas, we're here, and so we know the area. So if you come on the show with those fake talking points and something you heard on Fox News or something you heard on the internet, that ain't gonna work with me. So because we live here and we've actually witnessed Jasmine's work, so it is what it is. My people live here in her district, and they told me that she is not an effective politician. Well, I mean, I get it. For some people, they might think she isn't, but I think she is. I think it's very tough in Texas when you have a governor like Abbott and an attorney general like Paxton, who basically has actually almost got indicted himself. So we have a lot of problems in Texas when it comes to the way that the governor treats the cities. They don't like the large urban areas, and they have damn near declared war on the large urban areas at the state legislature. So that's just what it is. And it says, do you believe they are ethically cleansing America? Because Trump did say he wants people from Norway and Sweden here. There is some concerns about the right people coming to America as far as what MAGA is considering. They're saying that they want immigration from more Anglo countries as opposed to black and brown countries. And I think that this administration is moving in a direction to be able to do that, to limit people of African and Latino descent, as well as Indian and Asian descent, and try to let more people from those other Anglo countries that are European. I can go about 2 more minutes, Mel.
Okay.
Every nice area in Dallas is a very rich area. The areas are third world. Dallas is terrible. I have been there several times. Just me, I don't agree with you. You may be here several times, but there's some very nice areas in Dallas. I happen to live in one of those areas. So I'm not far from a very affluent area here in Dallas. There's a lot of nice areas in Dallas, in the Dallas area. And her area is not just Dallas, too. It runs up DeSoto, some of the other areas, and some of West Dallas, some very nice houses over there. So I've been living in Dallas all my life. For the most part, if I wasn't in college and law school, for about 53 years. So you can't really tell me that about Dallas.
All right, very good. Would you like to? I'm going to take one last comment from Candyman.
That's a false. We want legal immigrants that are in the list to have the first choice and stop giving illegals first choice. Hey, Candyman, I definitely understand that, Candyman. We want people to immigrate legally. You don't want people just roaming over here and just getting in line and jumping to people who try to do it the right way. I definitely understand that. I can agree with that. I definitely agree with you when you talk about that, but we got to be careful because there is some rhetoric coming from this administration that people are concerned about.
Okay, very good. What would you like to say in closing for all of our supporters tonight?
Hey, first of all, everybody will appreciate your comments, even those who disagree with me, even those who think that I'm not that smart or I'm an idiot. But with that being said, I don't take that stuff very seriously. But once again, we just want you to keep tuning in. We're able to listen to your comments. We'll respond to them. I won't hold it against you if you say something about me that don't like. But with that being said, we want you to continue to support us. We do this weekly legal review every week, 6 p.m. Texas time, 7 p.m. New York time. And we want you to continue to rock out with us. We've been doing this, how long? About 7 months, almost going 8 months now. And we want you to continue to support the channel. We're growing. Like, comment, and subscribe. Support us. Hey, you can come here even if you're MAGA, or if you're far left, if you're far right, if you don't like people that look like me. I'm also cool with that because I'm not really looking for your justification. But with that being said, come on and join the channel. Join the conversation. We take all comers and we treat everybody as a professional as we can. And we have great conversation tonight, Mel. Thank you. And just one more thing, y'all, we got to understand this country got to come together. We got to have good, strong leadership that does not support crazy rhetoric. And we need to get back to being one country. And we can't get back to being one country by posting videos of former leaders being apes. And we got to understand and accept that that is a base level that we got to have to really get back this country going in the right direction. Once again, thank you for coming on the channel. If I said anything to offend you tonight, hey, don't take it to heart. And we want you to continue to support and dialogue and free speech and communication that this country was built on. We're okay with that. We love y'all and continue to support us and rock out with us. Thanks, Mel. And we'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days inside. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.